So we will end today at 3, and we'll end about 10 till, because I want to go over some ideas and suggestions of how to carry the retreat through the afternoon and evening for you, as your conditions allow. Let me ask how many saw the email from me about suggestions how to do that. Okay, so by far most of you. Good. Okay. Now, coming back to the moment from that futuring. Here we are. So my experience of the Kadampa mind training practices, including Tonglen, which is just one of hundreds of them, is they're kind of a jujitsu toward the mind that grasps at a self and sees it as something it is not, which is mostly our view. Bill was just going over the view we're aiming toward, which is the way things are, and then there's the way things in our confusion, in our sense of separation, our sense of a solid, self-sufficient, separate self, we run around the world. Maybe once in a while, if you're like me, you're on your meditation cushion and maybe you get a flash or a sense of not so much so. It's nice, isn't it? It's really a relief when that tight little shell isn't running. So when it's running, it goes like this. I got to do this today, and I got to do that, and I did that, and then he said that, and then she said that, and then I got to figure that out, and God, my knee hurts, and I'm thirsty. I got to move. I've only got 5 more minutes. All of that is spinning around a sense of the importance of the one, and then the quadrillions, are forgotten. Okay? It's okay, We can say, yeah, I do this. If you do. I may not be describing your experience because we're all so different. But often we want to say, I don't do that. I've been meditating for years, and I sit down and I'm just totally there. Where? And as Bill was saying, who's having this dream? Who's there where? And I'm happy if you do have that experience, wondrous. And as we practice, that's more often usually. But it's important not to fool ourselves, really not to fool ourselves, that we're further along than we are. But also, remember 2 ditches. We're in Montana on Highway 2, headed east towards North Dakota. To see that ditch, I'm blissed, I'm there, I know it all. Full cup, nothing to learn. Versus, I don't know anything and I'm, all these decades of practice and I just don't have anything. Both of those are spinning around that same eye. You see, so the eye can have exaggerated positive view and it can have exaggerated negative view. Exaggerated positive tends toward attachment towards the self. Exaggerated negative tends toward aversion toward the self. I'm too stupid to learn this. I've been doing this for 2 whole years and I'm not enlightened. Yeah, okay. So we can be gentle with ourselves, we can be kind to ourselves, we can say, wow, look at everything we talked about this morning. That's a lot to use and work on. But we only need to start with one of those things and do it routinely. You could take the impermanence and death thing, just that. That's totally a way into total awakening. Completely. How many people have had someone close to them die and it woke you up in some way? Yeah. It's the big transition for us with these kind of bodies. And it kind of slaps you. I was 28 when my dad died, and he was my closest parent, and I was able to be with him through that. And boy, it was so amazing. It was the same year. My son was born in January, and my dad died in December. And it was like the doors were just thrown open on the front end and the back end when I was 28, which is a little bit young for that, but it was really good. Really good. Gifts from my son and dad, which I'm still benefiting off of. So, this waking up takes a while. Pretty much every teacher I've met has said two things about it. It could happen next instant due to some kind of karma that you've accumulated. Just like maybe the karma when, do you still feel a little surprised that you ended up a Buddhist in America, which isn't a Buddhist country, and you ended up following all this? Where'd that come from? It just popped up in your mind, and you went somewhere, or you read something, or you talked to someone. Boom, little seed sprouted. It's the same. It's the same process. Just a total understanding of reality as it is could just. The difficulty is stabilizing it, of course. So teachers say that's one way, but I think I'm on kind of the gradual path to awakening where I need to do practices, So, and folks who say that one say, leave room for miracles. It could happen in this life, but don't expect it to happen in this life. Because then once again, all expectations set us up for disappointment. Then that goes to discouragement. Then that goes to, I don't practice anymore, it didn't work. But really it's, I don't practice anymore and I didn't work it. But there's a lot of folks that fell in that ditch, and may they get out of it and be re-inspired. So now we're at what's called relative bodhicitta, the view and eventual direct experience of ultimate bodhicitta, completely interconnected, beyond the sense of a self, beyond concept. That's our own deepest nature. That forms the context and container for the practice of relative bodhicitta. Another word for relative is everyday, conventional appearances. This right here. This right here is also the ultimate. They aren't separate. That's mysterious, right? Something to be wondered about. It's not like relatives over there with Bill and, ultimates over there with Bill and relatives over here. No, it doesn't work that way. So one way the teachings say is all of this appearance, everything, it's quite nice, isn't it? But even if it was a war zone, that appearance too is all the dance of the ultimate, of the wide, open, aware wisdom, compassion to the ultimate. There are many koans in this. How could a war be that? I don't know, but teacher said that, so I'll get back to that one later. Okay, so now we're going to do taking and sending. And the Tonglen, as I understand, Tong is the giving, right? Sending, and then Len is the, that we say take and send, but the actual way Tonglen is this send and take.
I think so.
Yeah, doesn't matter so much. But let's all get a good posture, and I'm going to lead you through a few varieties of this, and then we'll stop and we'll see if there's any time for any questions today, or if there's not, there'll be time. You just write your questions down, and we'll start tomorrow with a couple things, questions, and then a review, and then we'll do more of this, okay? How many cannot come tomorrow? It's okay if you can't. Oh, good. You're all planning to be back. I hope that occurs. Everything's impermanent, you know. Okay. So just have a few breaths. Again, do a little scan on the body from top to bottom. Send some lightness in there with each breath, anywhere in your body where it's tense or tired. You can imagine Shakyamuni Buddha light, your teacher's light from your teacher, or just a ball of light, going through and refreshing you completely. All the tension going out the pores or out the bottom of your body. Feeling at ease, feeling content. Come to the breath and follow it. Now, bring to mind yourself, sitting in front of you. It could be just as you are in this moment, which has already passed, but just as you are in general, this age, this gender, this day. It could be that, but I want to give you two variations. You could do this instead with yourself as a child. You could pick a time in your life when things were stressful for you as a child and see yourself as that one. Or you could choose yourself as an old person. Imagine you live to 85 and everything that could come with that, with the body and mind inevitably deteriorating. So choose one of those. It'll be better if you choose one, and I'll be quiet for a couple of moments while you choose which one. Now, looking at your very dear self, your good person self, who really, as someone said to me, is the only one who is with you your entire life. Even your beloved spouse hasn't been with you your entire life. Your best friend, Yourself's been the only one that's been with you the whole way through, that knows you the very best. It's been through thick and thin. Now, look at that self, and this part is really important. See that one's kindness, all the kindness you've done in the world. Big, small, middle, don't judge it. Just see kindnesses that you've done for others, for yourself, for your family. See how much you've always wanted others to be free from suffering. Maybe your parents, your children, your friends. See the goodness of that wanting. Now, look at that one who is yourself, but sitting opposite of you. Look at his or her suffering. How much over the years, even if you choose a childhood time, this one has suffered. Yourself has suffered. All the losses, all the heartbreaks. See if you can hang in and really look at them without turning away. Illnesses, discomfort, fear, the suffering of being oblivious, spaced out, suffering of addictions. Really look at those, let them all be there. Now, really loving that self and wanting him or her to be free of suffering. Imagine breathing that suffering into you so that that self is relief from it. So if you are looking at yourself as a small child, you would breathe in that suffering and take it from her. And it could come into your nostrils as a black smoke or a black light. You don't have to change the way you're breathing. Just on each breath, some of that suffering comes into you and comes off of that other you. You take on the suffering of being old and crippled if you're working that way. Losing your eyesight and your hearing. Or your current suffering, whatever discomforts of mind and body you have. Now, your bodhisattva self breathes it in and takes it happily, gladly. Yay, I can relieve someone from suffering. So just imagine breathing that in. And you can notice if you feel any resistance or discomfort, that's fine, just notice it. any, I don't want this, I already had this, whatever. Or a thought of, I'm happy to do this. It comes into your heart and it melts your self-grasping completely away. Any thought of a separate self is just melted away. Or like when you turn a light on in a dark room, it just vanishes. Continue to breathe in the suffering. Continue to imagine it causes your grasping at a separate self, your self-centeredness to vanish, just disappear. Now look at the self that you're taking the suffering from, and see them relieved of it. See them at peace. See them happy and at ease. Let whatever arises in you arise. Continue to take in the suffering. Imagine it melting away all your afflictions as it hits your heart or comes into your heart. Some like to see it as a lightning strike to the heart. That always felt a little harsh to me, but use whatever works. A light at your heart, a warmth at your heart as you breathe that in. Looking back at them, seeing them free. Your child self free of all that pain. Your old self aging gracefully and gratefully for everything they've had. Or your current self being at ease, at peace, content, joyful. Now your heart is very full because it's been emptied of all this dark self-grasping. And you send out, like moonbeams from that heart to the one sitting across from you, everything they could possibly want. To be happy in a regular way, to be happy in an ultimate way, to be happy. And it's quite good here to give away. Imagine giving away what has brought you happiness. Give away your teachers, your dharma, your partners, your houses, your cars, your computers, your iPads, iPods, things. Give them all away so they can be even happier. Give them all the merit you've ever gained from doing anything good in the world. Just see all of that going toward them as sunlight or moonbeams, whatever image will work for you. Now drop the whole visualization. Everything disintegrates and disappears. And simply rest, not trying to think about things, not trying to stop thoughts. Just rest in whatever arises. Check the sensations in your body. See if anything's changed or what's going on there. And ask yourself one question as we end this. As a result of taking on someone's suffering, even that was myself, imagine, do I feel more peaceful or not? What do I feel? There is no right answer to that. The right answer is, what are you really feeling? Okay, that's the very first round of taking and sending. They say start with yourself. I always found that starting with myself as I am in the moment was kind of a little dry, so it worked. I could get more warm-hearted towards myself as a child, or towards myself as a teenager, or towards myself elderly. All of this is designed to get, I want to get these words better. All of this is designed to moisten and warm up the heart. Otherwise, and you're getting it right, I see you nodding. It's different than sitting down and going, I'm taking, I'm sending. No, but yeah. Which most of us do because we didn't get enough time in this with someone who had done it longer, which is some of what I got. I'm just telling you what I got, okay? But I've been practicing for a while, so it's, if it ever feels dry and just like rote, then the best thing to do is drop back to the forethoughts, or drop, and I don't want to say back because that makes it sound like they're back there and it's up here. Drop in to any one of the forethoughts, like I'm gonna die, or my friend's gonna die. I'll tell you a really potent one for me right now, because my little 2.5-year-old grandson just loves me. Carolyn met him yesterday. And I mean, he's going to die someday. And there's nothing I can do to stop that. And my son will, and my daughter-in-law will. And so you can go back. I mean, you can go into that, or go into the loving kindness, or go into the equanimity. And it's like a medicine chest. So it's your medicine chest. You open it up, and then you look, okay, today I'm really mad about the political situation. Equanimity would be helpful. Today I'm really scared about my family dying. Okay, the meditation on death would be helpful. So you become very skilled as we share and move and learn about these, at which tonic to take out of the medicine chest. If you only have 10 minutes, don't have to skim through all this. Pick one, go there. Do one for a whole month. We used to do that at the Abbey, a whole month on one deity, a whole month on just this, a whole month on this teeny part of the Lamrim, whole month on everyone's going to die and there's no one who's going to escape and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Those go in, a whole month on how precious these 10 freedoms and 8 fortunes, or 8 freedoms and 10 fortunes, I can never remember, that I have right now. And if a single one of them wasn't there, I wouldn't have the Dharma. Like freedom of religion. I met a woman who came to the Abbey, and she came from a country where they had to practice in a back room and pretend they were going to their friend's house for something else. And then be ready at any moment to fold it all up, and we're not doing that. Well, we just walk right in. We buy a church. The neighbors are fine. That's a huge freedom, not shared by many people. So, enough said, but you get it. Anytime it's dry, it starts feeling like, then drop into one of those, get the moist, warm heart, and then back to it. Now we start seeing why this is called advanced practice. It's hard enough to even do the death practice really well. I don't get it, then I'm going to die, okay? I run around all day doing my 8 worldlies. My gain, my loss, my pleasure, my reputation, my praise. That's what we all do. And then every once in a while, someone dies. Good Dharma friend just died last week. She wasn't too old. Good Dharma friend. And then you're reminded, oh my God, that's where I'm going. My brother almost died 6 weeks ago. He's 86. And I was there with him when he was just so close. And he said to me, I don't know if I'm coming back from this. Just staring me in the face. Fell down, had a hip broken, but then because he finally went to a doctor, all kind of other things came up, which are now stabilized. But he just looked at me, and I said, I don't know either. I don't know. We don't know, do we? I didn't do that whole BS thing of, oh, don't worry, because that abandons him. Yeah, you abandon them when you do this false reassurance. I didn't do that. I said, I don't know, Dawn. I don't know either. Just stay with them. And he did it. And I got to do the Lord's Prayer all over again. So I said, do you pray? And he said, I only remember one prayer. I said, what is it? The Lord's Prayer. I said, let's say it. And we muddled our way through, and then we said it and said it and said it. And I haven't cried through that prayer probably in my whole life, but it was so powerful, that prayer, when he was on the edge of dying. And it was his only prayer. It's a beautiful, very powerful prayer. It's not my prayer anymore, but we grew up Catholic, so it worked. And I talked to him 2 weeks ago and said, "Are you praying?" And he said, "Yep." That every day, he said, "Yep." So that's good. Okay, so that's all about taking and sending. We have time for probably 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll wrap up the day. Yeah, Cynthia. She's right behind you.
Oh, I have to, she's quicker with the mic than I am with my glasses. Okay.
That's all right.
Okay. Bill, you were giving us some instruction and about how experience arises, be curious, and then not take the stories for granted. And then later you kind of circled back and you said, look beyond our stories. And so I was wondering, not take the stories for granted, as in use them as a way to look behind what's pulling my strings?
Not psychologically. Not in that sense of looking beyond them. The story with the ultimate bodhicitta practices, with these practices of insight, the story is what you've been saying a lot. Like, you're sitting over there, I'm sitting over here. You're an appearance that's happening to me, as opposed to this is kind of an amazing reality that is being cobbled together on the fly in my stream of experience. So being able, and that's the instruction to regard all phenomena as dream, or to take the experience that we're having right now and think of it as this could be a daydream that I'm having of what just happened a second ago. There's nothing about what's arising in this moment of experience that I wouldn't find in that daydream, including that impression of it's really there, because when I'm lost in a daydream, I'm really lost. Dora catches me. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Hello, Bill.
Yes, I'm almost starting to have a conversation with somebody that I was talking to yesterday, but maybe you're not as bad as I am. I don't know.
So can you just say another couple sentences, if I can piggyback? Not psychologically. That's potent.
Mm-hmm.
Say a couple of things about that.
Oh, well, usually when we say don't take our story for granted, we want to kind of know all the whys and wherefores that I happen to think this or that. And that kind of examination, looking into the rationales for why I happen to carry a certain story one way or another, that's very useful within the domain of exploring karmic imprints.
Yes.
So it's very useful from that perspective. But this is a different domain of exploration than that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to tease out.
Okay. You two make a good tag team. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's mysterious. Yeah, it's so about the relative and ultimate, never separate, but we have to talk about it that way because we experience it that way, and never separate. But it doesn't work for us to take the things that work in the relative, stick them on the ultimate and say, I understand it now. Because again, we're tricking ourselves and missing the point. Yeah, okay?
And it doesn't work going the other way.
Say the other way.
Well, now that I read to the end of the book and I understand that I know this word anyway, everything's empty. I read it. So I know how the story turns out.
Yeah, and so I don't even have to worry about ethics or loving kindness or anything, because I'm above all that. Yeah. That's a huge danger. It's called nihilism. Don't go there. If you go there, come back. Use loving kindness. Okay, we're at the end of a, I hope, beautiful day. And good learning, and thank you so much. So we're going to start tomorrow at 9. Please be here at least by 5 till. And we're going to now dedicate, and then I'll say a few words about how to carry this. And dedication, the same one we did before, on page 22. Let's wait till everybody gets there. And let's have a mind of, in essence, one of the important lines for me is not seizing as mine. We've created great positive momentum here. It's really far beyond what we can imagine. The ripples that go out from such a kind of study and meditation and contemplation. So those ripples, we're saying in that, not seizing as mine, what mine would we do? This little self-centered one is not going to keep it all. Give it, okay? And then there's no real, there's no giver, there's no gift, there's no receiver in the ultimate, okay? That's a nice little one to remember. Okay. By this merit may I attain omniscience. May the enemy wrong action be overcome. From the ocean of existence, the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, may all beings be freed. Not seizing as mine all virtues amassed, I dedicate them to the unsurpassed totality of what is, on behalf of all beings, none excepted. Thank you. So I hope everyone has either access to the thing I sent out. If you don't, you might talk to Linda. A few people raised their hands. They didn't see it, so I don't know. Maybe they're not on the community list. At any rate, if you want to see, I sent out a one-page about how to carry this retreat forward this afternoon. So at a minimum, if you can, and we can't all, some of us have children we have to take care of and gotta go do things in our house, that's fine. Carry the retreat heart, carry a sense of loving kindness towards yourself and others, sense of patience, all of that. But if you can do more, simplify the evening. See if you can actually give up looking at your cell phone. Give up answering all the emails. Maybe this evening, don't watch a movie, don't go out for entertainment, do something quieter at home. One suggestion would be take the booklet with you, go through it, and do at least one session tonight on some one part of this. Or if you like to do a whole skim through, do that, okay? Or go home and read some Dharma, some other Dharma, go for a quiet walk, but just trying to simplify, to be carrying out what we've engendered here. This is precious. This is really precious. So there's often a temptation to, go off and get back into the swing. But if you can just slow it down a little, talk to your partners or children, I'd rather do something simple tonight. Make a nice dinner, bless it, offer the food. Okay, is it making sense? Any questions about that? And try and hold that mind gently, persistently, till tomorrow at 9, and that'll make the retreat longer for you. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. We'll wait here if you have any questions. Or if you want to read that, you can talk to Linda. She'll be over